Welcome back to the Slasher Siblings podcast. I'm your co-host Cicely.
I'm your host Hayden.
And our other co-host, Matthew, joining us again today. Matthew, thank you for being here. I know your schedule is so busy and you're just booked and busy, but we appreciate you taking the time to be here today, okay? Thanks. Today we're talking about Late Night with the Devil. Came out in 2023, which is cool because I didn't realize that. I couldn't tell.
I wanted to watch it in the theater, but
I couldn't tell when it came out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's rated R. It's an hour and 33 minutes long. It got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. A live television broadcast in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms.
Right.
Period.
So I think we forgot to read the question in the last one, so just hold on to that card. We'll read it at the end, I guess.
Okay.
I think
Cool,
we
cool.
forgot.
Passing the baby. Passing the baby.
So I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I like the aesthetic.
And I don't really see how 7.1 is appropriate, to be honest with you.
No, I don't know. I don't know about these ratings anymore.
Yeah, so I
They
mean,
seem kind of off.
the reason I use IMDb is because it's people.
It's actual people.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
people that watched it. And obviously it combines them all together, all the like 10s, 9s, and 8s and 1s and stuff, and makes it into 7.1. But it's just like, it just seems crazy to me that they thought that this was worth like a 7. I don't know, we'll get to that part in the end, but I feel like it was a better movie than what they were giving it credit for. Anyway, I like the news broadcast opening. The like it was like a legit news broadcast. That something. It was more so like a documentary, I guess. It was
Yeah.
saying this is the kind of explaining what happened, and it's like this is the real video of what happened back then. Blah, blah, blah. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
But I really liked that. I mean, really, the whole movie was like this, but I liked the talk show opening part. Where it opened like a talk show. It's like, welcome to Late Night with the Devil or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I really liked that way. Him opening it like a real, you know what I mean? Like a real show. Yeah.
I thought that was cool too.
And then we got a really tragic backstory for Jack, talking about how his wife like got cancer and she died and stuff. Like, terrible.
Oh, it's awful.
Like, and
That made me sad.
the look on his face and everything when he was like when they were sitting on the talk show and he was looking at her and she was talking, you could see like his heart was breaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was pretty awful. But then I like that the title was in the movie. He said like it was finishing the documentary part and he was like, "Oh, this is Late Night with the Devil." Instead of, obviously no one's going to call it, what was it, Night Owls or something? What his thing was called, but the documentary itself was Late Night with the Devil. I thought that was really cool. I also love when they put the name in the movie.
Yeah.
Like B movie.
Clueless.
And like I already said this a minute ago, but I really love the late night talk show aspect. I know I said this a minute ago, but this is when you really start to get the idea that the whole movie is going to be playing out like a late night talk show. That's unique. You know, not many movies, like the whole horror movie was in the whatever, I don't know how to call it, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like in the aesthetic of it.
If you watch it, you can see what he's talking about.
Yeah, like it's the whole movie is in the aesthetic of a late night talk show.
Yeah,
almost
which I thought was cool.
Almost like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or something. Like it was in that setting.
Yeah.
It was in that setting, which is really cool.
There's the word.
That's the word. And that is really unique, and I like that a lot. But then the psychic Chris Dew came out, which I kind of thought he was pretty funny, Chris Dew.
Yeah.
And it's when he needed to be, but it was like the psychic sessions, and it was like it started off fake, like it seemed really fake, didn't it, at first, and then it like morphed into like real psychic. You know what I mean? Like he was actually talking to ghosts with those two ladies.
Oh yeah, those two ladies.
That was
I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Okay, yeah, he and I get what the other guy was saying. What was his name? The
Good
guy.
Question. We need to start writing down.
Yeah, I know. The debunking guy.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Carr.
Was that it?
Carmichael?
Something.
Yeah, I think it was Carmichael. But I understand what Carmichael was saying. Like, it seemed like he was being suggestive. Like, hey, is there a Peter over here or whatever? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, like, people do that. They make a living off of, like...
Yeah.
You're saying stuff like that. But it's like... When he went over to the ladies, sure, it kind of seemed like he started kind of fake. But then he started talking about how he knew, like, he killed himself, and he was saying, like, I'm okay, kind of thing. It seemed like super real.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get into it later a little bit. It's a little further ahead, but it might seem a little fake, but that moment it seemed real to even us. And then they talk about the Minnie incident. Or they talk about Minnie at this point. And he's getting another psychic connection, which was like putting him in a lot of pain or whatever. And he was saying, Minnie, there's an unmarried man who still wears his wedding ring, and there's a woman that wants to talk to him called Minnie. At the precise moment, we had no idea what that meant. But it was like in a creepy way to where it seemed like very interesting. And we knew when we found out what it meant, it was going to be really, really interesting. And then there was a backstage discussion, which kind of opened up a couple questions a little bit. Was when he walked back and Jack was like, good work on the lights when you made them explode like that. That was you, right? And he's like, I'll take credit for it if you liked it. So that kind of closes the question, like, was that real or not? Because he didn't take credit for it. He said he was going to take credit for it if he liked it. Yeah. Which means he doesn't know who did it. Which also means it was most likely real, and it actually happened. The lights actually shut off. And apparently the vice president of whatever it was, I forget what it was, is sitting in the crowd, so he's excited about that. Which is pretty interesting. And then we also get a weird Chris Dew moment where he's like coughing, he's like really sick after the Minnie incident, you know? And it basically doesn't bode well for him. Yeah. It kind of looks like it's gonna be bad. And then Carmichael pissed off Chris Dew, however you say his last name, by saying that it was fake. And he was saying not only that it was fake, but he could prove that it was fake. Yeah. In reality, he could, in a way, but as we'll see in a little bit, he couldn't. But this is also when the revelation of Minnie comes in. Yeah. The revelation of Minnie is that it was Jack's wife. Minnie was the little pet name that he gave her. And which is cute. He was wearing his wedding ring and he wasn't married. It was kind of like a weird coincidence. Yeah. And it kind of, that closes a question of what Minnie meant, but it also opens the question of why is that happening?
Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, it's weird. And then it played the Conversations with the Devil tape, which I thought was really interesting. And that was it was like the doctor talking to Lily, the little girl.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to simulate another not exorcism, but like possession or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get it like under control. And I thought that tape was really interesting because it showed kind of like a cool side and kind of like consequences in a way. It showed like why this isn't probably a good idea to have her on TV. Then Doctor and the girl actually come on to the show, which I thought was really cool. The show, movie, whatever. But they come out and they're joining everybody. And of course, you know, Carmichael's trying to prove why she's faking it or whatever. But it was still cool that they had the actual chick and the little girl from the tape we just watched.
Yeah.
But it's also at this moment that the girl is acting really weird.
You notice something.
Immediately.
Yeah, something changed.
Yeah. But it was like, she's just like talking weird. And she's acting weird too. And it's kind of hard to explain the fact that like she's talking very formal for a like 10-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So thank you, Jack, for having me here tonight. Like it was just weirdo. Yeah, weirdo.
Okay, freak.
And it immediately gives a vibe that she's not like normal. There also seems to be a relationship between Doctor and Jack.
Yeah.
So one thing I was a little bit confused on, I don't know if it like specifically stated, the tiny little detail I was confused on was the time frame from when Minnie died to when the show's taking place. Because it did say that after a month he was back, but I don't think it's been a month since she died. I think it's been like a year or 2 years or something.
I got that vibe too.
I think it's been a while. It just doesn't specifically state it's been forever since she passed away. But it looks like there's a relationship between the Doctor and Jack. Which is a little awkward at first, given the current situation where she's upset that he brought the little girl into the show, but it's also at this moment that we find out Chris Dew is dead. He died in the ambulance, which leaves an open-ended question of like, why did he die? Like, what happened? But it's also like, what did the spirit, I guess you can call it, what did the spirit do to his brain that caused him to die?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. And why didn't he die right there? Why did he die in the ambulance, you know? Unless they were trying, I don't know. Who knows? But I kind of like that being open-ended, just like, Chris Dew's dead.
Okay, why?
Yeah, like, oh, that's not good.
Oh.
That kind of puts, like, a damper on, like, the rest of the movie of, like, who's gonna die next? Kind of gives, like, that mystery aspect to it, too. But then, there's some weird stuff happening. Like, I think the lights were flickering at one point, and, it's also the fact that the little girl is still so weird, and I forgot her name. I don't know why I forget everyone's name in these movies, but
yeah, we need to start
writing them all down. But she's just, this whole movie, she's been acting so strange, you know? And it's not like strange as like a little kid would be. It's like legit weird. It's completely and utterly just completely strange. I don't know how else to explain it. She's just like a weird, and it's not like weird as like adults. It was like the kid weird, like creepy.
Yeah, kids are just arguably
they're way more creepy than adults are.
Yeah.
especially in horror movies and like possessions and stuff. But then there's the moment when they summon Mr. Wriggles. That was weird. That was really well done,
if
too.
If you gotta summon anything, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're gonna summon
exactly.
anyone, goodbye.
And like, how do you become like an expert in summoning a demon into a little girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like backwards. Like you shouldn't be an expert in that. But yeah. So they summon Mr. Wriggles, and there's a weird exchange between Mr. Wriggles and Jack, saying that Mr. Wriggles already knows Jack and said some weird things about the Grove or something like that. And at this point in the movie, we have no idea what that means. And it leaves another open question for the rest of the movie. And then this is also the point where the crew actually wants to leave, and which I get, you know, it's getting pretty weird at this point. And the crew wants to leave, but so does, what was his name, Stu or something, the guy with the stuff coming out of him. I think his name was like Stu or Steve or something. And
okay, we're gonna start writing down
names
names and characters.
Yeah, just off to the side so we can remember.
Yeah.
But they're like starting to give up and say that, you know, things are, you know, starting to get weird, and they don't trust what's going on because Mr. Wriggles really creeped everybody out, which I get. You know, that was a creepy moment in the movie. The way she was talking to everybody and the way she floated off the floor and stuff, like that was incredibly, incredibly weird. But with Wriggles taking over Lily, that also shot the ratings up. It made everyone. And back then, I think this was the 70s or something.
77?
Was it? No, it was made in 23, but oh yeah, in 1977. Yeah, never mind. I forgot it was in the description. Back then, it was people were watching the talk show, and then they'd call their friends, be like, "Turn it on, channel whatever, and watch this." And as far as this movie goes, turn it to channel whatever and watch this little girl get taken over by a demon live on TV. Which, I mean, I get, you know, that's something everyone would want to watch, but it's also like, you can't really blame Jack too much for capitalizing on that, because he's right. How many talk shows actually have a demon possession?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense in the movie universe. And this is also the moment that Carmichael is trying to disprove all this, saying all this is fake and whatnot, and he's trying to replicate it. And he like hypnotizes everybody. And Gus, his name is Gus. I did write Gus's name down. That it was at this moment when he was replicating with Gus what she did, what the doctor quote unquote did to the audience and everyone at home, was that the worms came out of Gus, which was absolutely disgusting. And everyone saw that. And he was like ripping his stomach open and worms just pouring out of his gut. And
no thanks.
That giant worm came out of his face.
No thanks.
That was gross.
I have some trauma with wiggly bugs.
She stepped on a dead deer and had maggots in it.
Long story, but
the dog got out.
Yeah, thanks. I can't do wiggly bugs. So
well, I'm not scared of worms, and that was gross for me.
Listen,
you know?
Listen. We can't keep talking about it because I'll start gagging.
It's still the point. Like, that was weird. And Gus was terrified of worms. Like, that was I forget, they said the word of being afraid of worms. I forget what it was, but he was actually afraid of worms, and Carmichael made worms come out of him, which is altogether disgusting. And, they replay the tape of him making worms come out of Gus. And it didn't actually happen. It just looked like it did. And he tried to prove it that way because he hypnotized everyone to see worms coming out of Gus when they actually didn't. But it was also at the same moment that they got the good idea to replay the possession video to prove on their end that it actually happened. And they replayed it, and they caught this weird moment where I saw it in the beginning, but I thought it was maybe like a hint, and that it was gonna be in the trivia for the Fear Facts, so I didn't write it down. But when the possession played the first time, you could see the glimpse of a face on the back of her head. I actually rewinded it like twice to make sure I wasn't seeing things.
Make sure you weren't tripping.
Did you see it the first time?
No.
But I rewinded it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure I wasn't, seeing stuff. And they replayed the possession video, and Jack saw it. So he rewound it, whatever, and slowly went through seeing the face, like we all did. It ended up not being trivia. It actually ended up becoming like a actual movie point, like a plot point. But I thought it might have been like the skull over Norman Bates' face in Psycho. I thought it might have been something like that, so I was gonna save it for the end, but it apparently was a plot point. So it was also right after this moment that Minnie was behind Jack, which was creepy. She put her hand on his shoulder, and he felt it and everything. That was creepy.
No thanks.
No. But then Lily gets taken over, like, completely at this point. And she's, like, turning into this weird creature thing, if that makes any sense. Not really. Creature thing does not make sense, but...
Yeah. This is why this is a movie you just gotta watch.
Yeah, you definitely have to watch it.
It's definitely worth, checking out.
Yeah. But she starts, like, floating, and, like, her head splits open, and, like, this light is coming out of there, and she's, like, ripping people apart and burning people and stuff, which was really cool. Like, the visuals were awesome for that. And, like, her head splitting open was disgusting and really cool. But it was also at this moment that Jack kind of gets, like, taken over a little bit, and he starts, like, reliving old episodes of the show that we, like, saw in the beginning. He was, like, going back through them.
Yeah.
And we're kind of getting a little bit more information about what happened, and, like, supposedly he signed a deal with the devil to be famous and stuff like that, and it was clear that, the price of being famous was Minnie.
Yeah.
It was very clear just by those, like, flashbacks, I guess you could call them, is what happened. But then Jack wakes up and realized that everybody's dead and he's stabbing Lily. And it kind of leaves an open ending.
Yeah.
But it also infers the idea that he's the one getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he...
It looks like he did it.
It looks like he killed everybody.
Yeah.
Instead of the demon.
And you're just like, oh, shit.
And I mean, I guess he could play the tape back and show them, like, what actually happened. But, like, how many police and government systems are going to believe that a demon came and killed everybody on a talk show? You know what I mean? Like, how many are... What police officer is going to be like, oh, okay, I get it. You're free to go. There's going to be, a lot of investigating into this.
Yeah.
And the part that he would have a hard time explaining is why he killed Lily. kind of it just looks like he killed a little girl.
Yeah, you
But
can't really
he can't get away with
get
that.
out of that.
But it also is the fact that she was possessed by a demon. He had to kill her. You know, she was the one that actually killed everybody. So I understand why he would have done it, you know. So that was actually the end of the movie. Like I said, it was an open end because it didn't explain exactly 100% what happened. It just made you make your own kind of idea about what happened, which I like those kind of endings. And it's like, we're not going to give you all the answers. Why don't you use your brain kind of ending. I like that.
Use your mind.
Right. I'm actually going to give this movie an 8.5. Because
Okay.
there were a few little points that I was confused on, like timing and spacing and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
But all in all, I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. A lot. And like the visuals were great. The story was actually really cool too. And the talk show aspect was very unique. And how many talk show movies are there?
Uh-huh.
Especially in the horror genre. But like I said, like the timing was a bit confusing, like how far after the death of Minnie and how long. I don't even remember if they said how long Jack and Minnie were together for total. But the timing stuff kind of seemed a little weird in a way.
Uh-huh.
What about you? What would you?
Yeah, we're on the same. 8.5.
Yeah.
I don't think it deserves any lower than that, and I
No.
think it's definitely worth the watch. And I rented it just because I couldn't find it anywhere for free.
It was on.
And if it's a subscription, I probably didn't have it.
It was on Hulu, I think.
Okay. I mean, I think it was worth renting.
Yeah.
You know, if you have to rent it,
I would buy
would.
it if it
I
wasn't
would.
on something
Yeah,
I already
it's
have.
good. And I didn't even know anything going into this. I didn't know anything about the movie.
Right.
Just kind of when Hayden suggested a movie, I just kind of jump into it. Then I started watching and I was like, oh, I really like the vibe of this. Like, I can tell this is,
Right.
like, different from anything we've watched before.
And
And
I
the
enjoy
aesthetic
the
was nice.
movies that make you think.
I like movies that make you sit there after it's over and you're like, what?
And you're like replaying the movie in
Like,
your head.
like Pulp Fiction. I have
Yeah.
seen that movie like 3,000 times and I'm still like, hold on.
Yeah.
What happened here? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I'm still sitting here to this day having
Wondering.
questions. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. So if you want to watch it, head over to Hulu
Yeah.
and watch it. So
Just overall a good movie.
It was a great movie. I got a couple fear facts here for our last couple minutes. Folklore actually states that when you make a deal with the devil,
Uh-huh.
the devil takes his end of the bargain after 7 years. So the Grove that we found out was like a cult, like thing. What the hell? A ritual, a sacrifice thing, where Jack wanted to be famous, and the Grove was in 1969,
Uh-huh.
and Minnie's death was in 1976. 7
Oh.
years later after doing the deal, if that makes any
Interesting.
sense. So the movie at least is accurate on that front. It's just they didn't state it in the actual movie. It was kind of inferred.
Yeah.
For my second fear fact, actually Stephen King loved this movie. He urged everyone to watch it. And you know, if you have the King of Horror saying that you made a great horror movie, that's saying something.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw the original trailer when this first was coming out, I was like, "Oh, this looks great." The guy who plays Jack is fantastic. I love him. He actually accidentally became an actor. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
I forget how it worked out, but he like went in to read for like Dark Knight or something, and they were like, "We don't want you for a part, but we want you in this movie somehow, so we're going to create a character for you because you were awesome." And he just kind of fell into acting. And it was The Dark Knight. the Batman movie, The Dark Knight, that he actually like started his acting career, and it was completely by accident.
Oops.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
This, for my third fear fact, sorry. This is actually based in New York City, but it was shot in Australia.
Oh.
Melbourne,
cool.
Australia.
Cool.
This movie actually made $666,666
Ew.
on Sunday, March 24th, 2024. And there was a little tidbit at the end that said this could not be true because you can fake the money that you make in any way. You know what I mean? They have ways of just making it look like they made $666,000, but it is still kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make that number of money on March 24, 24. And for my final fear fact, all the "We'll Be Right Back" title screens that we saw, those were completely made with AI.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like each time it said "We'll be right back" and it had like a picture of an owl or whatever. It was all made with AI, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
It seems like more movies are starting to like add little tidbit AI things in there, which kind of gives it like a unique. It's not like they went to the internet and looked like and got a stock photo. Yeah. It's like a unique photo.
Yeah. Well, probably like no one else is gonna be able to use that sort of
right,
deal.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they
unique.
could in a way, but it's like
it's not gonna be.
You're the first one to use that specific one, which is really cool too.
Yeah.
I think it is a good idea to use AI things. I mean, I don't exactly trust AI right off the bat or anything, but it's still cool to have it in your movie, to have unique aspects like that. And that's all for the fear facts and for this movie this week. So why don't you go ahead and read the question?
From last week?
Technically, but...
Whatever this is, if we repeated it, sorry. What Rolling Stones ballad is sung by the demon Azrael?
We did read this last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead. Read it and the answer.
As he possesses bodies in the Denzel Washington film Fallen. Answer is time is on my side.
Yes.
So, new question is... This HBO TV series was based on the novels by Charlaine Harris, sorry if I butchered that, featuring a telepathic waitress named Suki Stackhouse. I like that name, Suki Stackhouse.
Suki Stackhouse. So if you got the last question, which we forgot we read last week, good job. If not, better luck next time, which next time we just read as well. So what's our next movie, sis, for next week?
Parasite.
I've heard really good things about this movie.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh, I've seen it. It's good.
Something about being like the best horror movie ever or something?
I wouldn't say that. It's pretty bold, just because I have different opinions, but it's pretty good. It's pretty intense.
Well, that's good then.
But in in Cicely Culver's opinion of horror movies, it is not the best. But to you guys, sure.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
So, join us next week for Parasite on my first watch, and
I'll watch it again.
Thank you for listening.
If you're here,
whoever's still listening, we appreciate you still listening. And a tiny announcement is that we actually got approval to start putting our podcast on YouTube.
Hell yeah!
So very soon I'll be finishing up everything on YouTube and announcing that we're officially on YouTube as a podcast. So
heck yeah!
We'll give you more information on that next week.
Yup.
But thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Catch you later.